If anything is worth talking about, then it is here on our show. Welcome to the freshest episode of your favorite weekly cultural diary, Colours of India. Here's a quick look at the main stories. Transcending Borders, Lady from the Sea, and Peruvian Delicacies. This is not the first time we're bringing you a collaborative cultural initiative, but these contemporary moves on Indian rhythm holds many promise. Interface, or the International Festival of Alternative and Contemporary Expression, is a one-of-a-kind cultural fiesta celebrating international arts on a national platform by Sapphire Creations Dance Workshop. This time, Sapphire brings India together with Australia, Israel and Taiwan.
It's the only international dance festival of Eastern India and third such festival of the whole country where we celebrate the experimental, the avant-garde. We celebrate the emerging trend of contemporary dance that is happening in India, at the same time celebrating the choreographers that are working on projects globally.
Geeta Chandran presented Bharatanatyam in a never-before-seen fashion. Dancing with her students from the Natya Vriksha Dance Company, her first performance was Navadarshanam, a piece based on inner feelings and secrets residing inside every human being. It also focused on the many beauties life offers.
Dance is very linear in a sense that you have a story and you have mythology, you have characters. But when you come out of that and go into the realm of abstraction, of course, on the other hand, pure dance is all abstract dance. But to create sense in pure dance and to create sense in keeping a poetry as a base was a challenge for me.
This was followed by Seasons, a piece where Geeta infused traditional Bharatanatyam moves on Tchaikovsky's music. In a dramatized representation of the seasons, the bareness of the summer was followed up by the dancing peacocks in the rain. The slow falling of autumn leaves came before the freezing winter chill, and soon after, spring followed. In this production, dance and music gelled flawlessly. With Dress Up, Taiwan's modern arts dance theatre brought a new zing on stage. Using fabric and clothing as the guideline, they brought man's inner feelings to light. This classy contemporary piece was like an ode to redefined dancing techniques.
Sie müssen diese vorgehen, weil wir haben,
They soon performed solo, but it was their clothes with a spell of humor that appealed to the audience. A strong message about their very take on the idea of borders. Now, good music also has this capacity to transform you from the earthly realm and take you to this world of absolute calmness. At the Ragrang festival, evening music in the park calmed the tensions of the long working day. The honking of the cars, the screeches of the brakes, and the impatient evening hour faded away as Delhi sat still, mesmerized by the strings of Meera's sitar.
Well, I'm basically a purist, and I might sound not on track with the latest trend, but no matter what, I will play the pure rags with the more accent on tantrakari, which is strokes, and strumming of the strings in a more definitive manner, laying stress on your melody. I think I can popularize it and be at par with the jazz, the fusion, and the aberrations of the music that has taken place now.
Meera Prasad, a disciple of the legendary sitar maestro Pandit Uma Shankar Mishra of the Sainia Gharana, is today touted as a fine exponent of sitar. Her first rendition was in the Kirwani Rag, and as her fingers moved like magic across the strings of her sitar, the evening took on a different tone, with her dominant notes setting and defining its mood.
The purity is my strength, and I think with pure rendition, exposing all the facets of the instrument and the Indian music, you can definitely be at par with the Westerners.
She concluded the musical repertoire with Rag Desh, a tune that suits a monsoon night. And her powerful rendition was complete with all the variations that Desh could offer. The purity of Meera's music floated with the tunes of the Tanpura played by Naeem Hussain and Sonali Prasad. And the rhythms of her strings match that of Shailendra Mishra's tabla, culminating their musical expression into an experience for the listening audiences. She's also an ambassador of Indian classical music at universities abroad, and we've heard that her lecture demonstrations draw students in large numbers. Well, it is time for us to take a small break on Colors of India. Don't go anywhere, because there's lots more on the other side. Coming up, a musical opera and recreating Ibsen. Welcome back. In 19th century Europe, the gentle elites riding in carriages would stop by in the evenings for an opera. we bring you this very spirit through the Path of Love, an opera production here in Delhi. To give a taste of the Western musical tradition of opera to the Indian audience, the Hungarian Information and Cultural Center organized an evening of opera arias by Sylvia Schorsch and Balázs Fulé from Hungary and Thierry Fillon from France.
You have to think with the feeling and with the head of the other person. So you are, as an artist, nearly not existing. You are just a performer, but you have to live in the soul of another person. I believe this is the secret, that they became believable to the other people.
An opera encapsulates almost every element of a theatre production with expressions, songs and flamboyant presentations. This opera, titled Paths of Love, circles around the different feelings of love. Sylvia Schorsch, a recognized soprano in Hungary, sung pieces by romantic composers. The verses were mostly based on intimate love between a man and a woman.
To create something and to have a chain between each pieces, and I like to have a concert in one thematic phrase, so we choose a love song.
In an opera, the voice of a singer is the only supreme instrument. As per the system of singing, the singer needs to keep his or her vocal volume more than but in balance with the orchestra. Thierry Fillon, the male accompanist for the evening, could be seen maintaining his vocals along with Balázs's piano. He also sang songs of love, which had a few spells of comic in them.
But this was lovely how they were actually taking these deep breaths, and that's my challenge. So my teacher says, breathe deeply, because I try to sing from here, and I really like the way they were doing it, because their entire body and breath. So that was beautiful. That was my learning for the day.
The only assisting instrument, the piano, was played by Balázs Fulé. He played a piece which narrated the story of a puppet playing a guitar. Operas can make the mind visualize, and the music rings in your ears long after the show has ended. Now, theatre is also the flavour of the season, and JNU School of Arts and Aesthetics presented Ibsen's play The Lady of the Sea. People in the capital take a special liking to theatre, and we came across so many young adults all lined up for the first installation of the University Ibsen Festival 2012 in cooperation with the Dramatic Arts and Design Academy and the Norwegian Embassy.
What we are seeing today with the students is a new Ibsen, and this is what excites us about the college festival, because this is not a conventional Ibsen play. These are not conventional plays that they are doing. They are looking for new ways of interpreting Ibsen.
Henrik Ibsen is a name to reckon with in literature. He is a Norwegian playwright renowned as the father of modern drama. Lady from the Sea holds the downright Ibsenian qualities, where we see Elida, the leading protagonist and the child of a lighthouse keeper, going through an inner turmoil when it comes to choosing between her lover, the stranger, and her husband, Dr. Wangle.
Bought? You say bought?
Oh, I wasn't a bit better. I accepted the bargain and sold myself.
They managed to bring him alive, thousands of kilometers away from my country, and obviously it still says something to these young people who have put this up on the stage. So to me this is of course wonderful, because that tells me that there is a dialogue between India and Norway, between young people in India and Norway, bridging the cultural gap.
The storyline might seem simple, but the students of arts and aesthetics gave it a complex treatment. Using minimal props, they were able to take the audience into the deep, lingering thoughts of Elida and Bolette, one of her daughters. In contrast to the typical realistic Ibsenian style, they used a bathtub which became a symbol of fantasy into which the characters would retreat whenever they longed for freedom or aspired for the absent.
This is the first time we are performing as representing JNU. So of course it's a different experience. It's no longer research and all of the theory bit. It's actually practice and performance. We've worked through our strengths, our languages, our various backgrounds, and that's the experimentation that we have sort of got involved with in the play.
The play had its own injected improvisations in terms of language. The characters of Dr. Wangle and the stranger breaks into Tamil and Manipuri songs. The Tamil song is about the relationship between man and the sea, while the Manipuri song, sung by the stranger, mourns his lost love. Ibsen, then and now, continues to leave a mark on people's mind. It's time for us to go on another break, but don't go anywhere because the best is yet to be. Coming up next, the India-Peru culinary connections. Welcome back. Food cultures across the world are heavily influenced by each other. For instance, the Turkish delight could be a distant cousin of the Kozhikode and halwa. Similarly, their pilav could be a close relative of ours. Now, if you look at Peruvian desserts, some of them could pass off easily as Indian favorites. I listen with rapt attention. I take notes. I raise my hand when in doubt. And my phone is switched off. Today, I'm attending a class of Peruvian cooking, and my classmates could not have been from a more diverse ethnic background. We are each here with an agenda of our own.
In the summer, I went to the US. And then, a friend of mine took me to a Peruvian restaurant. And the food was different, but, it really suits the Indian palate. So I said, like, I really want to learn this, but I don't know where to learn it over there. So when I saw it on Facebook, I said, like, I have to go there.
Selva is a professional cook. Angelita is curious about Peruvian culture. Zar is a merchandiser turned food enthusiast. And there is a doctor with a passion for cooking, a Trinidadian whose Spanish husband enjoys Peruvian meals, and a young girl who has taken an interest in world cuisine.
You know, I see a lot of similarity with the Indian food because they use a lot of onions and garlic in all the foods, including the salads, the main course, the appetizers, the main course, and even the dessert. They have a lot of spices, which is similar to Indian food. So there's a similarity I found, so I said, like, I'll be able to cook it.
Chef Nuria Rodriguez is a Spaniard who specializes in Peruvian cuisine, and she considers it her privilege to introduce this culinary tradition to others.
For example, in South America, of course, rice and sweet potato, banana fry also is very popular in all South America, very popular.
At the Instituto Cervantes, New Delhi.
Existe, bueno, la cocina peruana nace de la fusión de la cocina española, precisamente cuando los conquistadores españoles llegaron allá por el siglo XVI, que llevaron con ellos muchos postres, como el que hemos realizado hoy, que es una versión nuestra del arroz con leche. Lo que pasa es que, bueno, ellos han ido agregando pues, lo que son las pasas, el anís, otro tipo de especias, han agregado también un poco de licor, no sé, han ido haciendo su propio postre, pero en realidad las raíces vienen del arroz con leche de toda la vida de España. Y luego, pues, bueno, con los otros continentes, pues bueno, pues con China, Japón, incluso los italianos, igual también tuvieron una gran influencia, que llevaron con ellos pues el arroz, incluso las pastas, porque se cocinan bastantes, es un tipo de pasta como, es parecido a los espaguetis, pero es otro tipo, es más como los noodles.
Meat and seafood came into Peruvian cooking through the Spanish, who in turn learnt it from the Arabs. Around the same time, the Arabs were also engaged in trade relations with southwestern India. And though this connect might seem long-wound, the taste speaks differently.
So what does tomatoes, potatoes, chili, papaya and beans have in common? All of them came to India through the old sea route from South America, which means Peruvian cooking also uses this to a large extent, which makes their food surprisingly familiar.
Peruvian culinary culture bears a close resemblance to the food prepared in the southwestern regions of India. The high on flavor, low on heat cooking styles of Cochin, Malabar and Goa have the strongest connect.
About it. I got to know about this class happening here because a friend of mine got to know and she told me about it. So I thought it's something I've never heard of and it's something I have no idea. So I googled a little and I didn't get a lot of information, so I thought of trying it out. The taste is not alien to Indian bowls, you know. I mean, the spices, the ingredients, they're very common actually. You find a lot of these things today.
Rice is a Peruvian staple and rice-based desserts a must at special dinners. Spices like cloves, cinnamon and aniseed along with sugar and orange rind are added to boiling rice. Once the rice is cooked, these are removed, but raisins and milk added to it along with a dash of sweet wine. This is simmered for a long time and garnished with ground cinnamon and grated coconut before serving.
If it wasn't for the flavor of the lemon zest and that slight hint of wine, we could have easily called this dessert payas or payasam or kheer. Now, when you look closely, you realize that food culture across the globe are influenced by trade relations and friendly relationships. And food has always brought people closer. Now, if you have interesting food stories to share with us, then contact us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Until later next week, goodbye and take care.